Good morning and welcome. My name is Catherine with South Shore Clean Cities, and we are pleased to participate in the 2020 webinar series. This webinar series focuses on a variety of sustainable transportation related topics in an effort to provide key information to our members and stakeholders. All webinars are pre-recorded and released to allow viewers to watch and learn at their convenience. Today, we proudly present the webinar, Biobased Engine Oil and Fleet Product Options. Joining us today on this webinar is Mark Miller with Biosynthetic Technologies and Chris V. Case, a Biobase coach consultant with the United Soybean Board. Mark Miller is a serial entrepreneur with special emphasis on bio and sustainable technologies. Prior to working at Biosynthetic Technologies, he co-founded and was CEO of TerraSolve Technologies, an environmentally safe chemical products company. He led the organization from startup until his exit, creating a multi-million-dollar global industry leader. He has engineered, sold, and marketed environmentally acceptable lubricants and base oils for over 30 years. Mark has a BS in chemical engineering from Tufts University and an MBA from Manhattan College. Thank you for joining us, Mark, and you may begin with your presentation when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'd like to tell you first a little bit about Biosynthetic Technologies. So Biosynthetic Technologies is a US-based innovative company. We are dedicated to providing bio-based alternatives to petroleum products. Our vision is to deliver innovative solutions for a more sustainable future, and our mission is to create and supply premier synthetic base fluids across a variety of markets. We've been at this for almost 10 years, improving our process and product, and now we feel that we're ready for commercial success. As I mentioned, we're developing innovative solutions for a sustainable future. We will be the premier synthetic base fluid supplier across a variety of specialty markets. Biosynthetic Technologies is a standalone and independent entity. We do have supportive and near adjacent investors. Our employees are extremely well engaged and also have ownership in the company. And what we're doing is providing solutions to long-term bio-based issues. So what are the prevalent industry challenges and driving forces? Leaks and spills of petroleum oils are very difficult to prevent. They can happen suddenly, will be unplanned, and they must be fixed and cleaned up, sometimes with great time and expense. So what are the consequences of a spill? Well, there's lost productivity, there's significant costs and fines and remediations, there's damage to the environment, and more in this era of social media, there's significant negative community public relations. So the risks from exposure vary everywhere from the extraordinary, which is a large, catastrophic, big spill that you read about in the newspaper and see in the news, and then the everyday little drips and drops that add up. And what we find is that the little everyday drips and spills can add up and become very common, but add up to become a real problem in the environment, whereas the catastrophic issues with catastrophic spills are well known and very easy to see. And the leaders of these organizations that want to do that are all clamoring for one thing, and they want to be kept out of the headlines with negative public relations. So how can we do that? Biolubes can help. Biolubes are not a new idea. They have been around since the dawn of time. It's not hard to imagine that early cave people utilized bio-based lubricants to lubricate their first wheels. It's even easier to imagine that the Trojan horse was lubricated with some type of bio-based lubricant, and they seem to work well. But it's only recently that biolubes have been able to withstand the tortures and extremes of modern applications. The new lubricants have higher oxidative and thermal stability. They offer enhanced wear protection. They're being tested for long-term durability testing. It's not only important for standard industry tests to be run dry, but also wet. Formulations must be retested regularly, and each and every component within a system, whether it's a hydraulic system or a gear system or an engine system, must be evaluated to make sure that a biolubricant works as well as its conventional counterparts. The formulators of bio-based oils have gotten smarter. The technology has changed. These products are being developed specifically for their application in mind. A lot more testing has been done. More emphasis has been, as I mentioned, focused on the compatibility, not only with all the individual components, but also what happens when there's contamination from other types of lubricants and products like that. Also important is utilizing the right product in the right application. You might be able to use a vegetable-based lubricant in a light-duty application like a lawnmower or a reel mower, but you certainly couldn't put that into a heavy-duty truck or a mining piece of equipment. And the lubricant manufacturers have been working much more closely with the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, and demonstrating over the span of time with field-proven performance. Sustainability used to be a very easy benchmark for most people. Several decades ago, when somebody was claiming sustainability, they were looking for renewable content or bio content. They wanted it to be biodegradable and not so toxic, so it's safer for the environment. That was sort of phase one. Phase two was, well, it's got to work in the equipment, so it must be as good or better than petroleum-based products. Goal number four is it's got to be price comparative. And as the interest in sustainability has been exploding, we're now analyzing carbon footprint, life cycle assessment, what is the social and economic impact of these types of products. At Biosynthetic Technologies, we believe in circular sustainability. We're searching for carbon negative manufacturing, sustainable agriculture, and sustainable economy. So how do we approach that? Well, we first start with the raw material aspects. So our raw materials, we try not to compete with food, and we look at crops that can be harvested multiple times from a single planting. We're looking at carbon negative. For each megaton of our biosynthetic products, we are consuming 9 tons of carbon dioxide. So when it leaves our gate, we call it cradle to gate or cradle to crate, it comes out in a carbon negative perspective. Our material handling is located very, very close to where the plants are being utilized or being grown. So we're not shipping beans and materials across a large amount of area, thereby continuing to reduce our carbon footprint. And also, our manufacturing facilities utilize wind for the electricity and operate their boilers by using crushed cake from the oil crushing. There's a lot of confusion in the industry because there are so many different types of eco-label specification. The United States EPA has their vessel general permit. The United States Department of Agriculture has their bio-preferred program. There's the eco-label, the Nordic Swan, German Blue Angel, just to name a couple of them. The ISO standards and classifications classify really 4 types of environmental fluids and then some newer developed ones. So there are hydraulic environmental triglycerides, HETG, which are basically vegetable oils. There's the polyalkylene glycols, the HEPG. There's a variety of synthetic esters, HEESs, and now there are some new secondary esters, which are called estalides, and that's the type of molecules that biosynthetic technology works with mostly. And then there's also polyalpha olefins and related products that are called HEPR. There are also some newer eco-hydrocarbons or renewable hydrocarbons on the market that also offer environmental acceptability that are not classically defined by the ISO standard. So when you're selecting a biolube for your fleet, what are some of the things you need to take a look at? Well, you want to make sure that it's sustainably sourced, very importantly, that it is readily or ultimately biodegradable, that it meets ecotoxicity standards, that is non-bioaccumulating, that it has good oxidative stability, which means the ability to work with heat and long durability. There's hydrolytic stability, which is the ability to withstand water. It needs to handle extreme pressure and wear of modern equipment. It needs to be compatible with seals and hoses and various elastomers. And you need to find the right product for the right application. Here's a chart that shows some of the things you want to look at and where the applications are, where you would utilize it. Vegetable-based oil can be used in a light duty, short change-out interval, low operating temperatures. Polyglycols are extremely fire resistant, but need to be especially designed for their system. Synthetic esters, for the most part, work really well when it's dry and offer good oxidative stability. The HEPR, the PAO, and related products can handle heavy duties, and even when there's a chance of contamination from petroleum. And the estolides offer a good range of performance, offer heavy duty application for a wide range of applications. There are a lot of applications in clean fleets, starting with engine oils, but also hydraulic fluids, gear oils, driveline oils, greases, tractor fluids, cleaners, and absorbents. So I'd like to talk a little bit about a Biobase synthetic passenger car motor oil. Biosynthetic Technologies has an API, American Petroleum Institute, certified SNRC 20W50 and 20W30 motor oil. That makes up a large amount of the motor oil sold in the United States. It is approved by the American Petroleum Institute and is available for sales on Amazon. Catherine will share with you a purchase coupon to help you buy some for your personal car and or your fleet. We did a test. We've done multiple tests with this. One test we're very proud of was a 150,000-mile taxi cab fleet under severe stop-and-go conditions in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is hot and dry. And you can see the engine on the right is clean as if it was brand new, the engine which utilized the Estolide synthetic version. The engine on the left used a petroleum product, and you can see significant buildup of sludge and varnish. The change-out intervals in both of the petroleum and the Estolides were targeted at 7,500-mile change-out, but frequently went to 10,000 miles because it's hard to get taxi cabs back home when they're out working and making money. So in conclusion, there's a lot of making determination to change to environmentally considerate lubricants. You've got to consider many different factors. Sometimes a biolube can be more expensive initially, but can save you money in the long term. Biolubes, many different types of biolubes have been proven in the field and can show that they perform every bit as well as petroleum counterparts. If you want to follow us, Biosynthetic Technologies, you can follow us on our LinkedIn, our Twitter, our website, and or our blog. And with that, I will turn it back over to Catherine, and thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Mark, for your presentation. We appreciate it. Next, I will introduce Chris B. Case, a retired 38-year veteran of the National Park Service with 30 years experience in leading a nationally recognized high-performing facilities maintenance and fleet operation. A significant element in that success was his focus on sustainable practices and the use of bio-based products utilizing vegetable oil-based stocks, particularly in fleet activities. Since retirement, Chris has been a consultant with the United Soybean Board, assisting communities and organizations increase employee health, safety, and environmental performance through the use of high-performing bio-based products. Thank you for joining us as well, Chris. And I will give you access to the mouse, and you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I'm real excited to share with folks the successes that we had in using bio-based products. I'd like to start off by introducing myself as a consultant to the United Soybean Board. And the Soybean Board was established in 1991. It's certainly funded by the soybean farmers at the Checkoff program. That's over 68,000 soybean farmers are in this organization. And the USB supports the development of bio-based products. It has a governing board, and it's also under the auspices of the United States Department of Agriculture. And it supports the marketing, research, and commercialization of products that utilize soybeans. We're getting a little bit sticky here on changing the slide. There it goes. Okay, bio-based products. What are bio-based products? They're basically products made from biological materials, agriculture, forestry, marine materials, and soybeans are certainly one of the sources of those materials. Corn, sugarcane, plant residues, and woods also make up bio-based products. I guess one thing we'd like to see is do people understand the benefits of vegetable oils? You know, we always use petroleum oils, and now we're talking about vegetable oils, but vegetable oils actually have better lubricating qualities than petroleum oils. They have greater solvency than petroleum oils, and vegetable oils are more readily biodegradable than petroleum oils. Which makes them excellent substitutions for products that traditionally have used petroleum products. The vegetable oil products and the bio-based products are equal to, and in many applications, better performing than petroleum-based products. And we'll see some of those applications as we go through this slide presentation. One of the really cool things about the vegetable oil products and the bio-based products are when they're compared to commonly used shop products, they are typically safer for employees to use than the petroleum-based products. They're typically found to be more readily biodegradable and less toxic to the environment than petroleum-based products. And we found very much success in using these products at Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore when I was there as a facility manager and a fleet manager. We started in 1998 to demonstrate the products. We got some grants from the Department of Energy to purchase products that were in development. Again, these products weren't available on the shelf. It was in the development, as Mark had explained, that these have been in the making for 20-some years. And we started utilizing them when they became available to see how well they worked. We started off with biodiesel, and we typically were running the B20 blend, although we did use up to B100 during the warmer seasons. The other thing that was really interesting about what we had done at Pictured Rocks is that's up in northern the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so we were in the cold country, and we demonstrated the successful use of splash blending and using biodiesel in cold climates. We then were able to find hydraulic fluids. We put them in our lifts and the lift devices on our plow trucks and in the hydraulic systems of our backhoe loaders and certainly floor lifts. We did have a spill or a release one time with one of the floor lifts, and what we found was the regulators were less intense towards the cleanup activities in getting those releases mitigated. We found fluids and found suppliers that could manufacture fluids that we could put in our backhoes and our crawler dozers, our grader, and our utility tractors. We were putting in basically anything that we could find of fluid that would be compatible for. The trans-hydrostatic fluids in our small tractor mowers that we used for our Class A grounds areas. In an event, you've got a Class A grounds area that you don't want to mess up with killing the grass by getting a spill or a leak or something from your tractors that are on those properties. We use 2-cycle engine oil in our mowers and trimmers, on our patrol snowmobiles, in chainsaws. And an interesting thing about 2-cycle engine oil, I think it really brings it to home when you think of a outboard motor. The first thing that happens when you start up a motor is the oil, of course, it burns as it goes through the cylinders and lubricates those cylinders. Everything, it creates a large amount of smoke. And the other thing you see is the exhaust from that oil being burnt going out into the water. It's basically like dumping the quart of oil directly into the lake. Now with a petroleum product, it doesn't degrade, or it takes a long time for it to degrade. A bio-based engine oil will still smoke and it'll still be released into the water, but it's much more readily biodegradable, which creates a lot less environmental footprint for the operation of that 2-cycle boat motor in the water. We use it on our chainsaws, not only in the engine for the gasoline mix, but we also use it on the bar. And every drop of oil that you put in that chainsaw to lubricate that bar gets thrown out into the environment. So it behooves someone to be able to put a product on there that's much more readily biodegradable. Number 2, chassis lubricant. We were able to find a manufacturer that could provide number 2 chassis grease, and we were using that successfully in our vehicles for general lubrication. One of the most significant products that we were able to find is a porch washing fluid that we could put in our porch washing tanks. The flash point is 300 degrees, so it's non-flammable. It's very low VOCs, which means when you open the tank up, you're not exposing everybody in the shop to those VOCs, and people aren't getting headaches because you're utilizing a parts washing tank. And we found that the performance of it is equal to the solvents that you typically use in those tanks. So it's a win-win-win for everybody in that particular application, particularly the health and safety of the employee that's using that. The penetrating lubricants, again, because of the solvency and the lubricity of the vegetable oil products, they penetrate the threads. They actually creep up into the threads. It has a high flash point, so it doesn't flash up if you do have to hit the nuts and bolts with a torch after you get done trying to loosen them up. It doesn't evaporate off as readily. It stays with the application where you put it, which leaves a residual lubrication, and it also acts as a water displacement. For more than 12 years, Picture Rocks had demonstrated the use of bio-based engine oil in diesel and gasoline vehicles. This was back in the early 2000s, and at that time, manufacturers were trying to develop this oil. It hasn't reached the point where it's actually been API certified until Mark's company had actually had the oil certified, and now it's commercially available as an API certified product now. But we used it, and it was very successful in year-round applications in our gasoline and diesel engine vehicles. So the use of this engine oil isn't brand new. It's been around, and just like Mark said, they tested it on a Las Vegas vehicle fleet. We had tested it early on in cold temperatures up in northern Michigan. And when you're talking about shop products, you can't forget things like the cleaners and solvents and things that you use for general maintenance. And there's a product on the left there that you see in that small box. It's a graffiti cleaner, and that's our go-to product for any time there was paint or magic markers or some kind of markings in some of the vehicles, things that you couldn't remove with any other cleaners and everything. You use that graffiti remover, and it would take, if nothing else worked, you sprayed it with the graffiti remover, and it took usually took just about anything you could find off of whatever it was you're trying to remove. Pictured Rocks isn't the only organization that's been using these products. A number of national parks and cities and communities have been using the bio-based products. An interesting application has been both at the Logan Airport and the New Jersey-New York Port Authority, where they have taken all of the petroleum products out of their vehicles and put bio-based products in, including engine oils and hydraulic fluids and antifreezes, any lubricating or fluid of those vehicles was removed and bio-based products were put in, and then they put signs on those vehicles and they show the public the good work that they're trying to do towards sustainability. And they've gotten a lot of mileage out of kind of showing off some of these cool things that they're doing with greening the vehicle. And soy oil isn't new, isn't only used for cleaners and solvents and lubricants. Goodyear, in the last 2 years, they now have 4 tire lines that utilize soy oil in their tread manufacture, and it replaces 60% of the petroleum oil in the tire. They found that there's better flexibility and traction at low temperatures on the tread itself, which makes them perform extremely well. They have a law enforcement high pursuit type tire that they use in law enforcement and emergency vehicles because of that traction and that ability for that tire to stick to the road. And it also improves the manufacturing efficiency and energy use because they don't have to heat the tire material to a high temperature in order to get it to form the tire. So they're saving energy in actually the manufacturing process. When you consider the benefits of bio-based products, we have proven performance, improved employee health and safety, and increased environmental stewardship. Those are all reasons for you to try bio-based products in your fleet. Don't be afraid to try them. They work. And you can find bio-based products by going to the United Soybeans website, www.soybiobase.org, and you can look for Find Products tab, and the list of a myriad of bio-based products can be found at that website. We appreciate everybody's efforts and attention to this webinar, and I just offer our assistance to folks that want to try to get to utilize these products in their fleet. And this is my contact information, and I will turn the webinar back over to Catherine.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Mark, as well, for joining us on this webinar series. And we appreciate the work you both are doing, not only for the environment, but with our communities and members as well. Mark had mentioned this in his presentation, but Biosynthetic Technologies are offering a 20% discount for biosynthetic motor oil, and you'll see it on the screen, and we will have it available on the recording once it's processed. If anybody does have questions about the information presented today, please contact Chris, Mark, or myself at South Shore Clean Cities. All of our information is presented here, and we will have it available for everybody later on. Thank you both again, and thank you to everybody for listening, and we hope that you have a great day.
Thanks a lot, Catherine.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Catherine.